Folks, welcome back to the channel. Man, it's fall and we're playing around in the grass, just throwing a copper red baits, wave frog, and that fish absolutely crushed it. There's not a lot of grass in this lake. It's drawn down and I think they killed some of the grass, but man, we're just kind of hunting around and finding the best possible grass and throwing a frog today. We're throwing a frog, gonna be punching, kind of mixing it up, but that's a good quality fish right there. That was a hell of a light, dude. Frog fish. Some in the shade. Sitting back in that shade, man. Man, it's tough. We're about to go try a different lake. Just because we're running out of grass. There's not a lot of grass in this lake. It's kind of what I wanted to do. So I think we're going to put the boat up on the trailer and go try another lake. So we have better luck. And I could get out off the bank and slow down and fish them outside deeper grass and brush piles and that kind of stuff, but just kind of want to cover water with a frog and a punch rod and see if I can come up with some fish. Damn, we'll miss that one. Bass and swim bait, swim jig. Pretty cool little setup here. You got a little spinner on it. Then T made this for me. Just a little Bama swim bait. Bama swim jig by Cumberland Pro. And the little guys. All right, folks, we made a change. We're heading to another lake. I really wanted to fish some grass today, and I thought it would be going on at the lake we were at, but it's drawn down and the grass is looking like crappy. It looks like the lake's turning over or something. I don't know why, but it just wasn't happening, man. I mean, there was just a little bit of grass here and there, and I fished basically most of the stuff that I thought I could get bit in. Caught one really nice fish on that frog. Just a couple dinkers, peewees on just flipping around, and then I had one come out and look at a swim jig pretty good, but that's it. You know, we fished a couple hours over there, so something I don't usually do, but you know, I'm not gonna sit here and beat my head against the wall. I didn't really feel like getting out deeper and, you know, slowing down. I want to stay on this frog bite. I mean, I don't even know if there's a frog bite, but I just feel like I want to fish a frog, punch, that kind of stuff. So that's what we're doing. It's 90 degrees, man. It's 90 degrees. It's super hot and there's hardly any wind. So we're gonna dump the boat back in this new lake and continue to search for a frog bite, punching bite. I don't know if it's out there, but we're gonna spend the rest of the day trying to make it happen. I might mix some stuff in between just to see, but that's kind of the goal. There we go. And there we go. Gone. Just like that. A little copper red wave frog in a loudmouth edition. I think it's called spicy meatball.
do it. There we go. Shaky, shaky. I caught one doing this in a long time. There we go. Another minnow fish. We're gonna get back to the task at hand here shortly. This is fun though.
Man, this is that time of year, fall, where you really got to keep an open mind and make adjustments. We got to the lake. I had grass fishing on my mind. I was thinking frog, punching, that kind of stuff. And first thing I noticed was the lake was like 2 feet low. So I dumped the boat in, ran around and looked at some areas that typically have good grass, and it just wasn't there. It had disappeared. There was some really shallow, slimy grass that was kind of rolled up on the bottom, but nothing that you would think a fish would be in. So I kept hunting around, and I did find one point that had some grass on. I caught that really good solid fish on that frog. I missed another really good one, skipping that frog up underneath the dock. And you know, in between the frog fishing, if I saw something look good, I'd pick up that Cumberland Pro Lures Bama swim jig. By the way, really cool modification that Daniel T came up with, and I'll talk a little bit about that modification in a future video. And thumbs up and a subscribe if you are appreciating the content. And I kept moving down the bank, kept trying that frog, but it felt dead in that area. The whole lake actually felt dead. And I was thinking, I'm not going to sit here and waste all day long, fishing in an area that just doesn't feel like there's a lot of life in it. So I flipped a little speed crawl around and picked up a couple more. I could have maybe went out deeper on this lake and tried some, offshore stuff, but it's got pleasure boats on it. And so I'm in a little 16-foot John boat. So it gets a little sketchy out there. So I just put the boat back on the trailer. I went to another lake and kept that frog in my hand. And I got some bites on that frog, it was kind of slow, but I kept throwing that. And, I tell you what, I kept looking out with the forward-facing sonar, and I was seeing fish swimming around. And I was trying to be disciplined. But finally, after making 100 casts without a bite on that frog, I swung out there in a couple different spots and threw my little minnow out there, shook it a few times, and, got my line tight. Sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you just got to go out there and sample and play around and keep an open mind.
Just throwing this little minnow around. That's the only thing I get bit on.
So I did that for a little while, got my fill, ended up getting a few more frog bites, and then ultimately, I started punching that grass. Just couldn't really get them to come up, so I thought, well, maybe I'll go in after them.
Frogfish. There you go. Throwing that little copper red frog. Loudmouth. Saw that fish jumping around up in yonder. Little scrappy feller. Hey, we'll take him. We'll take him. Get a little punching bite going. Getting a little punching bite going. It's kind of what we wanted to do. Got distracted for a while, but I'm going to spend the final hour of our fishing time just doing this right here. another one. Flipping them in the boat, man. Flipping them in the boat. There he is. Get up in here. All right, we're getting a few bites on this. This is fun. A little punch-in rig. I'll tell you a little bit about it here. Decent little scrappy fish. Look how dark those fish are. One thing I like about grass fish is, man, they're usually pretty dark. So, we started on a different lake this morning, came to this lake, and I was really trying to get a frog bite. I just couldn't make it happen. They would come up and roll on it. Tried a couple different colors. Didn't really seem to matter. And, there's a lot of fish out suspended, chasing bait. And we caught a few of those just playing around, but I didn't want to get too distracted doing that. So something when you're chasing fish with a frog, it's always good to have a punch rig going. And so we started doing the punch rig. We started flipping around Gambler burner crawl. It was like a killer G color. That's been one of my favorite baits. So there's kind of like two mindsets on punch and deal. A beaver style bait or a crawl style bait. The burner crawl's been a good one. A Yama crawl is a good one, a rage crawl. But if they won't hit that crawl, you got to go to like a beaver style bait. This is just a Reaction Innovations Sweet Beaver. There's a lot of good ones out there. Whatever you like will work. But kind of mix it up and figure out if they're like one over the other. Typically just anything that's kind of green pumpkin or darker color. Sapphire blue, June bug. This is Dirty Sanchez, but just kind of your greens. I noticed a lot of bait in the grass in certain areas, and it's a lot of little minnows, and the minnows are this color. So when I went from that burner crawl to this, I started getting bites immediately. As far as the setup, this is just a 4/0 flipping hook, straight shank flipping hook, whatever brand. There's a bunch of good ones out there. I do like to snell it. I was on the fence about that up until last year, and then I really started snelling it. It seems like I get the hook in the fish a little bit more. We're just fishing a 1 ounce weight. This is 1 ounce tungsten. It's important to get tungsten because tungsten's got a smaller diameter and allows you to get in and out of that grass a little bit better. And that's that, that cam action that you get from that snell hook. And I'll link a video on how to tie the snell hook if you do not know. It's very, very simple, but 2 bobber stops. And one thing I do like to do is instead of pegging these bobber stops all the way up against that weight, I kind of just pull that weight and give it a little bit of freedom. That way that bait's just got a little more action down there. I got 50-pound braid, so 50, 65, some people like 80, whatever you want. This is a Virtus Red Diamond. This is their rig punch rod. It's a 7'10", extra fast, heavy. Really good rod, super, super sensitive, but it does have some tip. You don't want super, super meaty rod. You kind of want a little bit more of a parabolic bend, and this has got a little bit softer action. I'm trying to get this braid off of here. It's one thing about braid is, man, it always wraps up. But anyway, you can see it's got some meat, but it does have a little bit of tip, so you can be accurate. And on the hook set, just kind of a pull hook set. You don't want to slack line them like you do with the jig. Just kind of pull into them, and there's no stretch in this braid. So if you even move that hook just an inch, it's gonna cam up and it's gonna get in their throat. I like a 7-to-1 gear ratio reel, so you can get it in and get it out, and you're just covering water. You're just covering water, looking for hard bottom, the right kind of grass. And it's still a little bit early for this, but it just continues to get better as the water cools down. So maybe we got time to catch another fish or so. I'm not getting a lot of bites on this, but the bites that we are getting, I'm having to flip it in there, give it a little bit of slack. I'm having to like pop it like 3 or 4 times. And I have missed several fish on this, but a lot of the bites are coming when you get it to the top of that grass. You flip it in there, just kind of pull it up, and I'm hitting the top of the grass, or the bottom of the grass, I guess. That's where the bites have been. So that means they're sitting, some of them are sitting right up against it, and I couldn't get them to come up for a frog. But, there's some bait in the grass. So I just had a feeling if I put this thing in my hand, I could catch a few fish. And I really like doing this. It may not be the best pattern right now. It's just going to get better as the water cools down. I mean, we still got like 73-degree water temps. When that water gets in the mid-60s, this is a bite that can really be phenomenal. You can kind of mix it up with a frog and a little bit of punching. If you feel like they won't come up for a frog, a lot of times you got to go in after them and just covering water. It's covering a lot of water. You know, you find a little area and you get a couple bites. Hard bottom is key. If you got some hard bottom, it's usually better. And you know, bait. Listen for bait. I'm not hearing much bait in this little stretch, so we're getting ready to move and try a little another area. You just got to keep moving around. Fall fishing's about covering a lot of water. The fish are just in transition period, and it can be tough, man. But you just got to keep your heads down, keep your head down, and you get a bite here and a bite there, and you know, just out here having fun, trying to do something a little bit different. But we're gonna pick up and move. Good fish. Man, it is tough, guys. You know, caught some on a frog, caught some on a minnow. Got a pretty nice one here, punching grass. I've had a couple bites, but they're smaller ones, but that's a good solid fish. Give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, that's how fall is for me. I mean, it's gotta move around, try a bunch of different stuff, and you know, sometimes you just don't get a lot of bites. But you know, it's fun. We're fishing. Not working, so just gotta stay positive. And ain't nothing wrong with that little chunky monkey. Until next time.